Hey there, it's Lindsay from Full Bloom Acres. How are you doing today? I hope you are having a wonderful week. In today's training video, I wanted to go through and show you how I meal plan. So when I start working with a wellness coaching client, usually one of the topics that always comes up is how to plan meals, how to prep meals, how to plan it, how to just basically stay organized because there is not enough time in a day, and cooking meals and planning it and having your family like it and you like it, it's all a big mess a lot of the times, okay? Unless you have a plan. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. So let's jump right into it. So first off, meal planning and meal prep are two totally different things. Both are incredibly useful, but it's important to kind of know the difference so you know what you're doing. First off, meal planning is kind of the first step in all of it. So that's going to be where you are looking at your schedule, looking at what's going on for the week, and then coming up with a plan of what to cook on what days. Meal prep, on the other hand, is preparing for those meals. So that might be cutting up some vegetables that you're going to use in a dish later in the week. It might be making a soup that you're going to have throughout the week. Things like that, and meal prep days, on a Sunday tend to work best for a lot of people, but whatever works for you. And meal prep is going to look different for everyone, as is meal planning. But I wanted to show you how I meal plan. Okay, so this is what I do. And this is, the kind of the system that my husband, Craig, and I have worked out. And we've kind of got it down to a science. Really, some days it totally falls apart, or some weeks I should say it totally falls apart, but that's life, right? So the first thing that I think it's important to note, how we meal plan, I really only focus on dinners. So I don't really focus on breakfast because I tend to eat basically two variations of two different meals, I should say, for breakfast each week. And then lunch, I can make a big salad or something. So I don't spend a lot of time doing that. Dinner is where, we need the most help and we need to plan and be organized. Okay, so that's what works for us. The first thing that we always do, so step number one is always we look at our schedules. So this is something that usually Craig and I do together or somewhat together because I think it works best to have everyone kind of on the same page. So I look at my schedule, I see what days am I going to be out of the office, or am I working late through dinner so I don't have time to prep? What days is Craig actually out of town for work? And then what else do we have going on? So the scheduling is a huge thing. We compare notes and then go from there. I think it's important to kind of note from that, we take a look at what nights will we be able to actually cook versus what nights do we just need to throw something quick and easy together. Those are going to be your leftover nights, okay? Leftover nights, I think, was a huge game changer for me, and it's a huge game changer for a lot of people out there. And then the next thing to look at is, when can you actually do the grocery shopping and any meal prep? So that meal prep, again, could be cutting up veggies, could be making a grain, could be making a soup, could be, making little bits and pieces of these meals that you're going to use throughout the week. But if you can knock it out, in a couple hours, an hour or two on a Sunday afternoon when you have more time and aren't rushed, that will just save time, frustration, and energy for that weeknight meal. So first thing, like I said, we look at schedules. Second thing that we do, I like to stick to one cookbook each week. I have tons and tons of cookbooks as well as online recipes galore, right? But I like to stick to one source. So whether it be one website or one cookbook a week, that's what I do because it keeps me organized and I know where these recipes are. It's easy to find. So the book I'm cooking out of this week is the Fiber Field Cookbook by Dr. B. This is a fantastic cookbook, but all my recipes this week are out of this cookbook. And that just, again, helps to keep it easy. Then I work through, I look through those recipes and I find things that look really good to me, look interesting. They're the types of foods I want, depending on the weather. Yesterday was crazy, crazy hot out. And then here I am on my plan, because I didn't look at the weather ahead of time. I'm making a roasted cauliflower soup and smashed potatoes for dinner. And those are very warm meals, requiring the oven to be on for a significant period of time. Poor planning on my part, right? But we did it because that's what we had planned, and the other option was, just as oven intensive, if you will. So we went with that. Okay, so I also look for recipes that are going to fit within my time constraints. So I'm not going to be roasting a ton of veggies on a night that I don't have a lot of time. That cauliflower soup recipe that I mentioned wouldn't work on a night that I don't have a lot of time because it has to roast. The cauliflower has to roast, the potatoes have to roast. So keep that in mind. The next thing in that kind of frame is to write down page numbers of your recipes. So what I do, I take a little piece of paper, they're just scrap paper that I have laying around. But this is probably going to be backwards for you. So I'm going to put it on the post with this. But what I do is write each day of the week, and then I write down the page number for the recipe. So I know what I'm cooking, where to find it, because there's nothing worse than not being able to find a recipe when you need it. And then kind of go from there. So I lay out the days of the week. And then immediately when I'm doing that, I have another sheet of paper. So I have these 2 pieces of paper, and this would be my grocery list. I'm writing down a grocery list as I'm doing this. So I'm not going back to it because I'm going to forget. If I don't write down an ingredient right away, I will not get it at the grocery store. I will forget, and it'll be, missing an ingredient. So I'm kind of doing 2 things at one time there. Looking for the recipes, writing it down on my planning sheet, and then writing it down on my grocery list. Yes, this is a blank piece of paper because we already grocery shopped for the week. Okay, so that's kind of the idea behind picking that cookbook or website and sticking to it. The last part, the last suggestion I would have is to get your family involved. So whether they're helping you select recipes or helping you grocery shop, or another member of the family's grocery shopping, if people are involved, if the other members of the house are involved and it's not just you making these decisions, I have found they are more willing to try new things. They feel like they're a part of it, and it just is an overall more cohesive mealtime for people. Okay, so that would be one suggestion. Another thing just to note, keep things simple during the week. If you are a busy family running all over the place or working late or whatever, that's not the time to be trying new recipes. Okay, keep things simple. Keep them, keep those recipes to things that you know and you like and that are easy to prepare. Don't learn a new cooking technique during the week. Okay, that's not a time to test out the Instapot if you've never done it before. Save that for a weekend or a rainy day or some day that you have a little more time. Another thing that I find is super helpful, keep notes on the recipe itself, whether you're actually writing it in a book or you're making notes with it or you print out a recipe, write a note on there. If you want to increase, maybe add an extra clove of garlic, next time, make that note. You're only going to help yourself for when you make that recipe again. But keeping that in mind, you are never going to run out of recipes, okay? So if you don't like a recipe and your family it doesn't work and you don't see a way to kind of fix it, get rid of it. You don't have to keep that recipe, okay? You don't have to feel obligated to make every single recipe that everyone else is making, okay? So I think that's super important just to note. You're never going to run out of recipes, okay? And if you do, contact me because I will send you a million more, okay? Maybe not a million, but close to that. Okay, you guys, so that's my quick kind of tutorial on how I meal plan. Those quick steps again. So looking at the schedule, that's number 1. Number 2, picking a cookbook or a source and sticking to it. And number 3, getting the family involved in the whole process. Okay, so hopefully that helps. Let me know what questions you have, and I would love to hear about your meal planning. Let me know if you have any other thoughts or any other questions on this topic. Okay, thanks so much, guys. Have a wonderful day.